All right, Madakiapi, you're listening to KILI Radio 90.1 FM, 88.7 FM Rapid City, online, KILIradio.org. Today's a very special day. I just wanted to welcome a good relative of ours, Erik Brings White. Erik is a community member here in Rapid City. He is one of the, would you say founder or organizer of Legacy, or what would you say that is?
Yeah, I founded it and organized it.
Nice. That's good to hear. Let's start there, Erik. I just, the reason why I wanted to do this interview with you is because I think your story is interesting. I've never really heard another one like it, and so let's start there. Like, how did this all come to be?
So, Legacy, I named it I Am Legacy, and the I stands for Indigenous, and the AM stands for Americas. So it's Indigenous America's Legacy, and it was an opportunity for us to have a space and a place in our homelands.
Yeah.
So we consider our Legacy, the Legacy Center, our sacred space. It's safe for our relatives. We have our altar, our buffalo skull, and a number of items that people thought, kind of held in high regard that occupy our altar. We have it there, so when you enter Legacy, you have to walk by the altar as well. I think, there's a lot of disharmony and unbalance in our community, and that's partly due to the fact that Indigenous people, the Lakota, have rarely been given the opportunity to institute their legacy into mainstream society. We are, I think, there's a conscientious effort to exclude us.
Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Pull your mic up toward you. Just direct it toward you.
It kind of went down on its own.
Oh, man. I don't know what's the deal there. Maybe. All right. Thanks a lot. How did you... why did you decide to do that?
So, a lot of my... it began years ago, years and years ago. So I was... a part of what my story, my journey is, I was a member of a gang as a youth. I experienced juvenile incarceration. I experienced many, many hardships because due to my immaturity, of course, but also the lack of access to our cultural teachings. I'm from a neighborhood that didn't teach Sweat Lodge and didn't teach Sundance, and it was all about just survival, and so, but the story, that wasn't all of the story, everything that made it possible and allowed me to be in a gang as a kid.
Yeah.
To experience juvenile incarceration and these hardships that come along with incorporating that lifestyle are the same factors that push me to pursue higher education, college degrees, to pursue opportunities to begin building capacity and infrastructure to address some of these issues. They're the same factors that why I sit at the table, the many tables that I'm at today.
Yeah.
And they are the same reasons why I opened Legacy, is to give our youth a place to belong, and a place to call their own, where they could just be them, and we celebrate them. We don't. We offer information. We work with our relatives here at Legacy. That way, when it comes time to make a decision, it's based at least on some part on information.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Eric. So, if this place was available when you were a teen, do you think that your circumstances would have been different?
I do. There are so many wonderful programs today in the communities, Pine Ridge here. There are service providers that are offering real meaningful, they're a resource to anybody, and especially the youth. But Legacy is focused. We love everybody. We want to give everybody a place to belong. I don't care if you're two-spirited or, polka dot with stripes, tattoos, all these things. But the thing that I've noticed, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody, it's just some observation that I've made. A lot of these young people are falling through these proverbial safety nets that are in the community.
Yeah.
And these other services, for whatever reason, they're not drawn, or they're not staying there.
Yeah.
They're still experiencing some of these same hardships that I experienced. And so we focus on system impacted or system involved youth and adults, and because that population is one of the populations that everyone has an opinion on.
Yeah.
Everyone has something to say, but nobody is reaching out to catch them, and in my experience, gangs, incarceration, those are cries for help.
That's interesting you say that. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Cubby. Have you ever heard of Cubby? It's an acronym.
No.
So for the Boys and Girls Clubs of America across the United States, they created the Boys and Girls Club, and I worked for them for like 5 years, so I'm kind of deep in that, and they call it Cubby. It's a 4-word acronym. I think it's 5 in some places, but they use 4. C is for competence, U is for understanding, B is for belonging, and I is for influence. Those 4 things are what attracts youth to gangs. And that I guess some people came in and did some studies, and they basically found out that gangs provided those 4 things. And those 4 things were, like competence, understanding, belonging, influence. Yeah, so they literally broke it down, and they took that concept and applied it to the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and right now that's probably one of the better places for a lot of our youth to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I went to boys club.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I spoke at a few boys clubs too, and never a girls club yet, but
no, I hear you. But what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know, like, from my understanding of what you've done and become, how does someone like you originate out of that? I mean, your story is unique that way, because I know a lot of my friends growing up, they were into gangs, and they were like, it never clicked for me. But I also I had an entirely different upbringing than a lot of these other guys,
Yeah.
So there was like, it makes me wonder, like, how do they get out of that? Because that's what a lot of that's like kind of the big question today is, like, how do we get our young to be competent influencers, feel like they belong to something, and how do we get them to do that?
I think I want to give thanks in that part of my journey to the the few people who actually reached out and dedicated some of their efforts to me, to the uplifting and the betterment of who they thought I could be.
Yeah.
And the very first guy did it. His name was Ken. It was in incarceration.
Yeah.
And I was in a lot of trouble when I was incarcerated too. But he used to always tell me, Nishan nilako ta'alo. I'll be going by in cuffs, heading to the hole because I got no fight or something. and he would stand there, and he'd tell me that. Nishan nilako ta'alo. And at first I was a little offended that this guy would be talking to me, but he never gave up. And one day he was doing about 3 life sentences. He's probably gone now. He was probably about 70 then.
Yeah.
And this is 20 years ago too. So he came out with me to the yard. He said he wanted to speak with me, right? And then he sat on this table and he rolled out a bed sheet, but he made a winter count on the sheet. And a part of the shame of this story, this part of the journey, is I had to, like many others, be incarcerated to find my culture. But so for about 3 years he taught me and I learned. And he began with a winter count and how our relatives migrated following the buffaloes, and how the buffalo showed us our sacred sites. We didn't go and say, hey, this site is sacred. It was following the migration of the buffalo and the stars and the solstice. And so he taught me a lot, and I just ended, he really taught me the difference between a man, because I had lived my life up to then thinking I was a man, and it always ended me in incarceration. It always ended me in a fight.
Interesting.
But he taught me the difference between being a man and being a wee chasha.
Huh.
And so I just incorporated wee chasha into it replaced what manhood meant for me, because up until then I was taught, man, we fight.
Yeah, we're tough.
Yeah, we're tough. You don't stare at us.
Yeah.
And we chashas are humble.
Yeah.
And we're helpers. We don't hurt, we help.
Yeah.
We don't tear down, we lift up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where that began.
That's kind of where I wanted to go. I think what I'm trying to get from your story is like how much is involved with reflection, and how much time did it take for you to actually come out or accept yourself? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's something that I do every day. I give thanks to the man I am today, and the man I'm, this opportunity to strive to be who I want to be today. But I also look back at that time in my life where it felt like nobody understood me.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like I had been given up on by the schools, by all these proverbial safety nets, and the school counselors.
Right.
And I felt like nobody really understood what I was going through, and nobody was there.
Yeah.
And so I look back at that guy I used to be, and I love him because that's what he needed.
Yeah.
So fast forward to who we are today, who we're, I'm striving to be. That's all relevant, because once you see yourself for who you are,
Yeah.
then you could begin For me anyways, as I see myself and a lot of these young relatives who come in here lost, like they don't have anybody, and I know right where they're at. And so I could create a similarity with them.
Right.
And that's what we do, you know. I was told one time, not long ago, that I was a leader. And I thought,
See, I think that.
I was like, I'm not a leader. And these were some non-natives.
Yeah, whenever, like, I mean, I think of like you and Morgan in the community.
Yeah.
I think leaders.
Yeah.
But you don't feel like that?
No, man. I told these non-natives that my opportunity is to work with future leaders and share some of my hardships and use parts of my journey.
Yeah.
In the hope that they won't make those same mistakes and endure the same hardships. They'd just be great on the front end, you know, because that's what our people need. I think learning from our mistakes is awesome. That's what life's all about. But learning after the hardship is what we're doing. When there's some of us in the community who could share the hardship on the front end, and our young people may not even experience it, and just be all their efforts being focused and directed at being the best they can be today.
You know, can you imagine what your life would be like if you had Facebook back then?
Facebook. Yeah. I always wonder if something happened this pandemic.
Yeah.
This pandemic happened and a whole generation or two were lost.
Okay.
Facebook would be the only way that the future youth and the future people would know how some of us behave.
I would not like that at all, dude.
Well, I see some of my partners, you know, they post hurtful things and real negative things and which is good because that's how they're feeling, you know. But what if that was the way that your grandson's grandson was the only way for them to know who you were, was by those posts?
That's true too. I imagine if I knew, like, if I could just see a note written by my grandpa or something like that, just to get an idea of what he was like, because I hear stories about him and I hear the Facebook posts, you know, they're positive and all like that. But I want to hear like who he was. Like, I want to know, like, what kind of was he like a shitty husband, you know, or something like that, or, you know, I don't know. The
essence of him.
That's what I want to know. Is I care about that stuff because I see people, and I always take all their great things that they post about or they talk about always with a grain of salt. Because I also acknowledge the fact that that person also had to endure hardships in order to get there. So like whenever I see you and Morgan and I see this place here, I don't at all think that it was just handed over to you.
No.
I honestly believe that when I hear people tell these grand stories, I know in the background of it all, there is like some heavy, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears involved with that organization. And I think that's people lose that. Lose that, you know?
I think not understanding what legacy is a point of contention for some in our community. I've heard it echoed from other people, and it makes me want to work harder.
Interesting.
You know, and I don't have no blame, and I've been asked if I wanted to come under certain organizations and they would do my funding and my grant writing and my marketing for me, but I declined. And it's not because I think we're so great. It's because if I fail, I want it to be me. And I'll know right where I need to work harder to repair and then keep going. If somebody took this over, and if I was under them and doing, answering to them, I wouldn't know where we failed as a people, really, because I think there's a misconception here, Rapid especially, that we're I've heard it, and it always bothers me, but I've heard that, there's a misconception that we can't do these things.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I've heard we can't get along with Indians can't get along with Indians.
Oh, you're talking about the urban res deal. Oh,
well,
man.
not only that, this is a conception by non-natives who are in like administration positions.
Yeah.
And they're able to grease the skids, help, but instead of doing that, they're like observing and making mental notes of where we can't, in their perception.
Yeah.
What are the sticking points for us,
Yeah.
And so being aware and cognizant of those when we're working with our target populations is a part of overcoming a lot of them things, but that's just part of what Legacy does. Today, we've helped resolve 1,230 warrants in this county.
Wait, what? How do you explain that? Why is the number, and like, how do you know that?
Well, we begin this. So I've been invited. I don't know why people liked me or whatever. They thought, hey, this guy would be good to fly him over here to Chicago and let him watch a justice reform conference.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been at this. People don't, know. They just probably know me today and what I'm doing now. But 13 years I've been doing this kind of work. And I've been, blessed to meet people who want indigenous populations to begin overcoming some of the socially constructed detriments or hardships.
Yeah.
And so if we look at the incarceration rate of our people, just here.
Oh, yeah, in South Dakota and in Pennington County?
Yeah, Pennington.
Oh, man.
Then it's really disproportionate.
Yeah.
It's and we're not the criminal class.
No,
we're not the criminal class people. Ultimately, we want the same thing as law enforcement, as prosecutors, judges. We want our children to be safe. We want our communities to be safe. That is the end goal of what we're trying to do. And so locking up the percentage of natives in jail, has it made this community safer?
Yeah.
No. If all the bad people are locked up, the crime rate should be,
right,
going way, way, way down.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. And so we started thinking, because I'm system impacted, I'm a felon.
Yeah.
How can we heal from this?
Yeah.
How can we reshape justice for the next 7 generations? It's by building equity. It's by building the capacity to have people who can share their experiences of where the system is broken.
Yeah.
And where we're not coming home healed. We're not coming home fixed.
No.
It's not bettering families. It's not bettering individuals. But how can we use this opportunity to do that?
Yeah.
And so that's what Legacy does as well, man, is we focus on the system impacted people, felons.
Yeah.
Because have you ever been pulled over?
All the time, dude.
Did it feel fair?
You know what? Recently, no. I got pulled over. I was coming back late one night. A cop pulled me over, and his whole deal was like, your license plate light was out. And I was like, who gets pulled over for that? And pulled me over, and then he like, one of the questions he asked me is I thought was really weird. He's like, "What's your cell number?" And I was so tired, so I was not ready to argue or anything. So I gave him my cell number. But the next day I woke up, I was a little like, that didn't feel right.
Yeah. Well, if you ask 9 out of 10 people of color or indigenous or Lakota, they'll say the same thing. It didn't feel fair. Well, it was legal, but it was geared more towards you.
Yeah, all the laws are all like compound. Like all of a sudden, their memory of all the laws is compounded on that moment right there.
Yeah,
I got. I was going on a streak of not getting a ticket. I was so proud of it. I was bragging about it, right? And all the cops were like, talking to me. The ones I knew, they're like, "I'm gonna get you, Arlo." Then I was like, "Why are you saying that to me?" Like, "I'm gonna get you." That that idea there that a cop say, "I'm gonna get you."
Oh man, that's scary.
That's them trying to, even though that they're just doing it friendly toward me, but that's still a concept. They're trying to influence the power that they have over you.
Well, so that's what we begin. Part of what we've been doing is my question. That brings a question to my mind. Why would a tribal community incorporate a system that feels kind of based on racism, negative personal opinion, bias? Why would we incorporate that and then begin using that on ourselves?
Oh, I know.
Why wouldn't we use this opportunity to heal our relatives and look at it like as if it's a intervention?
Yeah.
And give them what they need, bless them up and dust them off and this is what we need of you and this is what you need of us, and let's work towards this end goal of bettering not only you, but making sure our culture is here in 100 years.
Yeah.
And it's not replaced by incarceration culture, because that is and when this guy saved me inside the penitentiary, I was almost resigned to be what in some circles is called a pinto.
What is that exactly?
A guy who's incarcerated for his life.
Oh, okay. So they kind of like labeled you like you were going to be in there permanently.
So I was like, well, this I'm going to strive towards being, I ain't gonna be no, all these things that come along with the prison culture.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is prison culture replaces our culture. The culture that my grandma taught me when I was growing up was being replaced. We still had love, but now it meant something different than the way my grandma loved us. Or we still had respect, but it was a different respect than we should have for the world and we should have for the gift of life. And that's what we're going to be dealing with, I think. On all honesty, Arlo, when we're ancestors, you and I, when our children are grandparents, we're going to look back at this era and how much that we incarcerated our own people, similar to the way our grandparents look at the boarding school era and the hurts and the harms that were a product of that. And we're going to be praying and having ceremony and wrapping our love around these relatives who experience this hurt, this pain. And it's not fixing our people, man, and so at Legacy, we understand that. We are them, and we need an alternative way to hold ourselves accountable. It shouldn't be the punishment for profit systems, man. It shouldn't be you got to sit in incarceration because you cannot afford a $300 bail because your kids need to eat.
Yeah.
You could get out today because you have $300, but there's also no food for the week.
Yeah.
So go ahead and eat. I'll be here.
Yeah.
Those are the hardships that we're trying to address here.
Yeah.
So we interface with the system.
Yeah.
We go over there. We're not yes men. We're not sellouts. We're not none of that. We go there for the sole purpose of finding ways to decriminalize our people in their eyes.
So the whole 1200, or hold on one second.
Yeah.
You're listening to KILI Radio 90.1 FM, 88.7 FM Rapid City, online, KILIradio.org. I'm sitting across the table from Erik Brings White. We're here at Legacy in Rapid City, South Dakota at the mall. That's where they're located. And my conversation with Erik today is just about his life, how it came to be. I think I'll probably interview Morgan after this. We'll see. Anyway, so Erik, I wanted to get back to that, man. Like, what you're saying is that your organization here has been part of the process of bringing equity to this community that has not been able to comprehend that that's what it is. Because, if you look at Rapid City today, Rapid City with the mayor and everybody, they actually have programs and actually have things that they're doing to try to build up the relationships in this community. And a lot of people feel that I personally don't like it when they say racist city.
Yeah.
Because this has become my community, and I don't like people to think that this is where they're coming, that this is a racist community. Thank you. And I think what I want and what you're doing, how much influence have you gotten from, or how much help have you gotten from like the city or from?
We don't get any help from the city, man. There are still some that are probably not appreciative of some of what we're doing. And
it's innovative too. So like, I imagine they're like, what do you do?
I've been told that it's like a hug a thug program. And I was a little, if anything, that statement was a statement of hurt and pain.
Yeah, right.
When this person said that,
hug a thug.
Yeah, he's not. It's just a hug a thug program, and I thought, man, that is collapsing a spirit, a whole group of spirits, a whole group of humans into a term that is hella derogatory and negative, man. And so I said, what? Thugs don't need hugs, man.
Yeah.
Nobody is beyond a second opportunity to love that they never got.
Right.
Nobody is beyond a second opportunity of acceptance, and being seen as a person first.
Right.
I don't care their mistakes, and so and doing the math, it's important to me to tell you this, though. I failed college algebra 2 times in a row.
Okay, why is that important?
Because I do the math.
Oh.
And I have no problem counting money, well, we don't have much of it, but, the statistics are 2 out of 3 Native American males will experience incarceration at some point in their lives.
Right.
Whether it's a juvenile, they outgrow it and never go back, or they're a juvenile and it stays with them and ripples throughout the rest of their life. These are the real hardships of the American justice system for our people.
Yeah.
So we found a way to work with the state's attorney in resolving warrants. And Mark, he and I go way back 20 years. He was actually the prosecutor that prosecuted me.
Oh, really?
And
so he knew you.
Yeah, he knew me then. And we had opportunity to sit at coffee, and it was strenuous or a little tougher conversation, because he sees me as a part of the problem.
Oh, I see.
And I seen him as
part of the problem.
Part of the problem. And I thought he was racist.
Yeah.
And he thought, there was some probably personal opinion that he had of what I did and what I shouldn't have done. But we created this opportunity to begin working with our relatives to resolve misdemeanor 1, misdemeanor 2 warrants, and even some felonies. We did one. I want to share this one, what it looked like. This brother came to us. He had a warrant for 17 years here in Pennington County.
17 years?
17 years. And so on further looking at this warrant, it was for paraphernalia.
Wait, okay. Yeah, okay. What's paraphernalia? Paraphernalia
is any object that you can use to ingest a controlled substance or a drug, right? So smoke it.
So for 17 years?
17 years.
This warrant.
For 17 years, this brother had a warrant. So paraphernalia, I thought, wow, we could really work to resolve this, and come to find out it was rolling papers.
Oh my God.
No drug. No drug, man.
Talk about a system that holds a grudge.
Right? Vindictive as heck, man.
Hell yeah.
And the system for some of these individuals, and this guy was my case in point, man, is some of us don't need to be drugged through the system and have our life ruined and carry that felony or that mark on our work record, our reputation for the rest of our lives. Because knowing who he was, he didn't do drugs. He wanted to come to Rapid because his dad was sick in regional. And he was afraid of coming, afraid of getting caught, afraid of sitting in a jail cell till he's seen a judge and maybe or maybe not getting out.
Yeah.
I've spent the last 3 years working with those judges, working with, the state's attorneys and to shape, form a different viewpoint, a different lens to look at some of our relatives. And that's what we do in here. Today, the Care Campus, have you heard of the Care Campus down here? It's the old NAU. It's across from the courthouse. It's pretty, it's big. It's going to get bigger. But the math, the data, is they've assisted just under 23,000 natives in the last year.
Yeah.
23,000 natives who, instead of going to a jail cell, then going to court, then asking for attorney, and then maybe having a jail sentence, they're able to just go to the Care Campus, and it's decriminalized, and they're offered all this wraparound services from the Care Campus.
Yeah.
Those are the efforts, like you said, there's some good things happening, and that's one of them that I want to lift up. They come here.
Yeah.
The Care Campus loads a van of people who are recently released from incarceration and they're there for whatever reason.
Right.
They come here and we sit in circle and we have discussions from everything from how do we recover our sacredness as Lakota people to how do we assist other people in repairing their identity.
Mm-hmm.
And what is our sacred purpose? We all have one.
Yeah.
And today I think it's more of a joke when you talk sacredness.
I know.
Oh man, not that sacred,
Yeah, it's been diluted bad.
Yeah. But as Lakota, we have a sacred purpose. And that's what we're striving to find here at Legacy. No one was beyond a second chance.
Right. Yeah, that I whenever I think about how important it is for people to understand their awakening, to understand who they are, and all those Disney movies growing up, they were legitimately right. There is a purpose for everybody, and that was one of the things that in Lakota culture that we dominated on, because we had Cubby on lock.
Yeah.
We had the ability to provide influence, or somebody had the ability to provide influence, belonging, competence. Competence is one of the biggest ones, because the ability to know that you're doing something to influence and do it right is so instrumental for whatever it is you do. You know, I mean, just as an example, like I know that this work that I do here with sharing stories and capturing ideas, it isn't because it pays good, because it don't.
Yeah.
But what it does for me is it allows me to hear these wonderful stories like yours and to be able to share it with people. That's where I found out I came in. And that's like, and if anybody can identify whatever it is, you know, whatever it is that they do well, if they're able to do that, then they're able to figure out, like, our system of figuring that out in a Lakota culture of your second awakening or whatever it is, that right there has been, that's kind of gone. And identifying that and bringing it back today and incorporating it into our mainstream culture now is a challenge. And I think you're doing a great job here at Legacy with just trying to figure that out.
Thank you.
Because just now, I mean, everything you said sounds so innovative, but especially in the way you described, like if we think of ourselves as our children being grandparents, like that concept that you said to me didn't even, like, I never even thought of that.
Yeah, well, we have, I think, some unique perspectives because of our experiences, you know, and we have, as Lakota people, we have unique solutions that the average professional don't have. Mm-hmm. And that's the importance of us finding our healing and coming to the table and begin repairing the things that don't work for us.
Yeah.
And we don't have to mold to fit anybody's perceptions of us. We only have to change the perception of us by being who we really are.
Yeah.
And that is the work, you know, and it's heavy work, man. We're two of our greatest enemies today is one is complacency.
Yeah.
Where we're becoming, you know, hella complacent and we're just okay with the way things are. And I'm not that. I refuse to be complacent, man. And the other one is apathetic.
Interesting.
Where we have a lot of apathy, and apathy is like, I see you doing something, man, check out Arlo, thinks he's sacred, man. And, and he's over there, shit, I could do that better than Arlo, man, but I'm gonna kick back, you know, and sit on the sidelines and ride the bench, you know, and
just bitch about that.
Complain and blame, man. And we need, if you look at it like a basketball game, we need our players to play their positions to the fullest, man, if we're gonna win this. And it's winnable. It's winnable. We can do this, you know, and so I want to encourage everyone to come off the bench, man. I want everyone to know that they're welcome at Legacy. There's a part for them to play, you know, and we need it.
Yeah.
You know, and we might not have all the resources and all the help from these big organizations, the county, the city, but what we lack in resources, we make up in experience, culture, education, and different individuals bring different gifts, you know, and we don't look at our relatives that walk in. The Euro-Western way is to look at you as like the deficit. Well, you're an asset here, man.
Yeah.
You know, and we look at what you are doing right instead of only what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
And that is what our justice system should be for our people.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, oh, you're a felon, you can't work no more. You can't do this, you can't do that, and you're not welcome here or there. But we've incorporated that system. If we're targeted for prosecution people, that would be scary because it wouldn't be long before we're a nation within a nation. That's basically what sovereignty is, right? Nation within a nation.
Yeah.
Before we're a nation of felons within a nation.
That's interesting.
And that's what
it's kind of what we're going down.
I'm fearful of.
Yeah, we're going down that road.
I have a thought around that. And
Let's hear it.
So that's how they can circumnavigate our treaty rights, is because it takes 2/3 of the male to vote if anything's going to change for our people, good, bad, whatever. But the federal system is, if you're a felon, you have no voice no more.
Yeah.
And they're going to what if they came today and they said, hey, let's talk about this treaty, it's really old.
Yeah.
And you guys don't really do it, and we ain't really doing it, so let's renegotiate this. A lot of natives may, let's do, and shake hands, and then they'll say, but first, those of you who are felons, you're excluded from these meetings. How many of us would have to get up and give up our seat? And who is passionate and knowing, educated as those who might have to get up and vacate their seat?
Right.
Who's left? We're not cultivating our young people to maintain our job. Like your radio station, man, it's great. The things you do, second to nobody, bro. Who would you leave to do this as passionate as you do? Is there somebody? Or would you just be like, whoever's next is next? That is our mistake as indigenous people. We're so few of a population that we should be cultivating the next generation of leaders as we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And instead of finding ways to disqualify ourselves.
Man, that is, just, you're thinking on something much bigger. And you kind of put it on the radio, and I was just thinking, I don't know how to do that. I do not, because I can't identify that I was 18 years old. I can't identify that 18-year-old young man that has aspirations of being a DJ at Keeley Radio. I don't know how to do that. So what you're talking about is a lot bigger, and I can't imagine what that would require. You got me. I don't know how that would work in a much larger scale. But what I wanted to also mention was here in Legacy, I see Mayan, Northwestern, I see all these drawings all over here from peoples from all across the world.
Yeah.
And then I was just wondering, then you gave me a sweater. Thank you for that, by the way. You also had a saying by Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
Now, you're not totally involved with Lakota culture. You're also incorporating other. Talk to me about that a little bit. I wanted to know, because whenever I only know Mother Teresa, smile, 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 right? And she, just because I went to Red Cloud, I would never have known her. And that right there just makes me wonder, how does that all tie in?
So I've read the Bible twice in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The very first time I read it from bookend to bookend. A year later or so, I realized, man, I didn't understand 3/4 of what I just read.
Right.
And so I read it again. And when I was in juvenile incarceration, our young people are looking for purpose, identity, and direction. I could say that because when I was young, that's what I was looking for. So I was luckily incarcerated where they could let you out on Sundays. So I went to every church I could find, trying to find who I am.
Yeah.
And I went to Baptist. You ever been to a Baptist church?
Never.
So I went to an all-black Baptist church one day.
Oh God, I would love that.
It was quite the show, man.
Really?
It was. They had a choir.
Yeah.
People singing, getting down. It kind of scared the heck out of me, man. I'm all the way from Lakota Homes,
Yeah.
and I was a kid, and this lady in the front row gets up and starts sprinting down the between the pews, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know whether it was time to, run with everybody or what, but I have this curriculum here. And there's an acronym to it. It's called TEACH, but it's traumatic experiences. That's the TE. The A is abuses. The C is crisis, and the H is hardship. The very first 6 weeks, it's a 14-week program. The very first 6 weeks is called a 40-day journey. That I got directly out of the Bible, because the Jesus Christ, Moses, went on the hill.
Yeah.
And to me, how I made sense of it is they humblechad.
Yeah.
But only not for 4 days and 4 nights. It was for 40 days.
Yeah.
40 nights. And so the first 6 weeks of our curriculum is called a 40-day journey. And it is the internal journey. And then the next 7 weeks, it's called Wichasha Woyukcha. Red man of the sun's thinking.
Yeah.
That's how he broke down, this elder broke down what we cha sha meant to me.
Yeah.
It's three meanings that they use to identify us.
Yeah.
That is the external journey. The things that you carry outward as your legacy.
Yeah.
And so it's a 14-week program. We do what we do in terms of art here, and the things that you get to see is when you walk in here, we want you to see yourself. Whether that is Lakota, whether that is Nawa, up there, Nisqually,
Yeah.
Tulalip, our relatives up there. The important thing is in here, we're relatives. In here, we're not exclusive. We're inclusive. We don't think that we're the only beings that Creator created. And we understand that we're just a part of it. And as such, there's rules and obligations and duties, but there's much to celebrate in just being a part of it all.
Yeah.
And so that's what it looks like in here, a little different. California tribes, and we got that down to Texas. Wife made these quilts.
God, it's beautiful. Oh man. We're closing up on the end of our interview here, but I really like to hear more about what other programs you provide here through Legacy, which is located at the mall in Rapid City, South Dakota, right next to the what used to be Target. So anyway, I the mall is kind of one of the things that's just kind of dying out in these days, and it's just
it is. But today, for the last 3 weeks, man, it's been packed.
Really?
Packed. I mean, you look out there and there's a number of relatives who are going by. Some come in, want to know what it is. Some non-natives come in. Is this what they ask us? Is this a museum? Is this a art gallery? And I'm like, no, this is Legacy,
Yeah.
and what do you do? But so we have activities in here Monday through Sunday.
Okay. I was wondering why it's Sunday. It's open.
Yeah, well, we have activities here. You've seen my guy Spoon. He's in here somewhere, but David Brown.
Okay.
We do NA, our version of NA, Narcotics Anonymous, except we're not as anonymous, man. We like celebrating people's recovery. We think that is worth and worthy of a feather. Those are success stories.
Hell yeah,
man.
I think they are. I mean, yeah. I mean, getting over that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
Processing through those hurts, those pains, man, those past pains of failures.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in Circle in here every day. Every day except Wednesday, but we're thinking of taking on a Wednesday as well.
Yeah.
Monday, we have Medicinal Monday, which you and your wife were a part of, man. You guys came in and really set the bar high. So we're we're hanging in there still, but that is for anybody, but it's mainly for our sisters. You know, I think strong sisters, strong brothers, strong children.
Yeah.
And that's our focus. So we give our females their place and their time and whatever they need, man. And we just get up out the way because sadly, as males, we are at least 50% of their traumas, man.
Oh yeah.
And so knowing that, you know, you're a husband, so
yeah, I know.
Find our place and get out of the way, you know. But let them do what they need to do, you know, and however it needs to be done is that's them, right? So Tuesdays we have our 18 and under demographic.
Yeah.
We have a group, a youth group, youth support group. It's called Honorable Young Men. The acronym is HIM. We work with a lot of referrals. So I used to go to court. Before this pandemic, I'd go to court, sit in court with the juveniles, and fight for them to be diverted out of incarceration settings and instead come over to Legacy.
Yeah.
And so before I had Legacy, the only place I had to do that, I used to live in Porcupine. I'd have to drive up every Tuesday and sit in the grand jury room because I worked it out with Vargo and the judge, and that I could sit in the grand jury room with a group of 15 to 20 youth who were all at some point navigating through their a sentence or a possible sentence of incarceration. I was able to convince them that incarceration is, and it wasn't that hard to convince them, man. They already knew that it wasn't working, you know, and you can't incarcerate everyone and think we're going to have a
Humpty Dumpty life.
Utopia.
Whatever it is they're shooting for.
Yeah. So before we had Legacy, we had to make do, man. And it was hella triggering. Imagine you being in trouble, a brown person of color, youth, having to go to the place that punished you.
Yeah.
And be expected to heal a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So
I don't get that. How did they, I don't get that. Punish you and you're going to learn your lesson. 3 years, you're going to learn your lesson. And you sit in there, you're not receiving any treatment regarding whatever it is that you did. And, you know, part of the reason is like not just kids just not hearing their stories.
Yeah, absolutely. Come into this place, your defenses are this high, man. You're tuning everybody out, and you're just trying to survive this experience. So we knew there was a need. I met with, I called a meeting in the community at the Doll Fine Arts Center.
Yeah.
I called it For the Love of Our Mothers. And I asked moms and grandmas and sisters and aunties to come, and I provided KFC chicken. And if anything, KFC might get them there, right? But I asked permission to begin doing what we do on behalf of the grandmas, on behalf of the moms, on behalf of, because everybody loves their grandmas, man. Everybody loves their moms, their aunties, their wives, sisters, you know. And so when our moms and grandmas stand up and say enough, we usually listen.
Yeah.
And grandma asks you to go out back and dig a hole. What you gonna do, man? You gonna not question it? You can go out and dig a hole for what? You don't know, but you know, grandma said. So that was the idea, and they said we need a place. We need some space that's just for us, that we don't have to rent, that we don't have to find money to go, and we could just go, you know. And so I was a Bush fellow at that time, and Bush was providing me some stipends. So instead of hoarding my stipends and saving it just for me, I began investing in places for our community to go. And so when you come to Legacy, you're going to eat. One, you know, there's a number of things we could do. We pay the rent. The mall is dying.
Yeah.
But it's not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper than
Yeah.
rapid.
Okay.
And so it's more efficient for us to do this. But, we had our ups and downs with the mall.
I heard about these.
People were being rushed to the emergency room from smelling our sage.
Oh, jeez.
And, but we wanted to create a therapeutic environment for our people to belong, man.
Yeah.
And sometimes we lit the sage and, azalea, the negative, and then hope and pray for the positive, and people was thinking it was there's just a huge cultural disconnect here.
You think that people are getting after Kyrie Irving for doing that every time he plays a basketball game? Because that's what he does.
Yeah, that's awesome though,
isn't it?
That's what it's gonna take. I think for the Hasapa, that Cosby Show changed a lot of the way they were seeing in America, man. When do you remember when we were kids? The Cosby Show, and they had regular problems, regular issues. America, mainstream America, non-people of color America was able to see, hey, we have a lot in common with these guys, man. We're going to need something like that here, but it's not only to work to decrease some of the disparities and things, but it's to also add our gifts, because we have the solutions to some of these hurts.
Yeah.
We've had them for eons.
Right.
And they're just not being incorporated or even told. No one's even voicing them. And so this is what we want to do too. So if a non-native, we're not ethnicity based, we're not exclusive, non-native comes in, we lace them up, man. We let them know what we're doing, what our hopes are,
right.
The process, the outcomes.
Whenever I look at non-native cultures coming into our communities, like Porcupine or anywhere on the reservation, I think of like, what could they possibly bring? And, I often think about that because like about 5 years ago, the concept of me being in charge of the radio station came into effect because Tom, he's getting older, and then they wanted to figure out who's going to replace him. That scared me to death because I don't want to replace. I don't want Tom to go. But,
yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he's getting older. But like, I had to actually look at how he worked that radio station in the community and kept it going. Because that's one thing that's extremely hard to do, is keep a radio station alive in a community that doesn't. I mean, there are programs that help us pay, some more than others, and that's been our ticket. Those peoples that understand that radio is appreciated.
It's awesome, man. I mean, Crash, Tom, man, he's been amongst the relatives for so long that I think he's probably got. At least he's got some of the ways, I
agree. He is an icon, and he doesn't think like that, and I think people don't realize that. They don't think that he doesn't walk around and think I'm an icon, I'm a household name. Yeah, but over in Sioux Falls, nobody knows him. Yeah. But here, we know who he is.
Yeah, well. If we're from Ridge, we know Tom Crash, man. He's all right, man. And I was wondering, you must have been hanging with him a long time, and y'all got that beard going, And
no,
I can't get one. I get maybe like
a few hairs in there,
10, and it comes out all not where I want it to come.
No, the whole beard thing for me isn't because I'm trying to copy Tom. My grandpa, my mom's father. He's a little Dene man, and he had a solid beard, like just chops,
Yeah.
And he took care of it, and I just admired it all the time. And one day I was like, why do I shave, man? It's so annoying. And then I'm not proud of this. It doesn't look good to me, but like it kind of makes me feel a little bit more of my mom's culture.
Heck
and it makes me feel good. So. But yeah, I'm not trying to copy Tom to his entirety. Man, that guy's like, me and him argue all the time, so bad. It's awful, but at the same time, it keeps the radio station going.
I think he would make a good coach, man. You know, I always listened to him when, basketball season before the pandemic, man. And he's a good orator, man, and calls it the way he sees it, man. But I respect everyone. It took me a long time. We wouldn't get nowhere if I blamed the Washichu for stealing our land and for I wouldn't get very far if I called. I'm born and raised here in Rapid, man.
Yeah.
This is my home.
Yeah.
I'm Miniluzaha. I'm from Lakota Homes.
Yeah.
I think if you're not willing to, I had this conversation, the same conversation we're having with some of the guys from around the way, right? If you're not willing to solve or work to solve some of the problems in the hood, in the neighborhood, then you're just gonna suffer the symptoms of it, man, and pass those forward, and you're not giving our young people a model to begin transitioning through some of this, and instead you're just showing them how to transfer this up to the next generation, and that's partly why we're not where we're supposed to be yet, and there's a lot of work to be done. We're not by any means solving generations of work, but I think when each individual, native, non-native, whatever, heals, when we heal, it's 7 generations back and it's 7 generations forward. And I think that's important. It's okay to be only wanting to be part of the fight, But if it's that fight to heal or not. And I think there's a lot of healing and there's a lot of things to fight for, right? I fight for us to heal, man. And I just want to heal, and I'm not against anybody. My revolution is, I always tease my wife and the guys that I had this midlife crisis. My midlife crisis changed me from being a gang member and a guy incarcerated to I went to college. I'm now married. I now have a family. I raise other people's children. I do this. This is my midlife crisis you're seeing here, man. Because if you knew me before this, I was probably the stereotypical angry Indian.
Red rage,
man. and so my midlife crisis, my revolution, I'm not for anybody. I'm not against anybody. I'm for everybody. And how could we get there together, because I believe in decolonizing, but I think colonization is here to stay. We all drive cars, man. We all watch TV and we wear clothes and
hold our phones in front of us
and sit on Facebook, but maybe de-assimilating is a little different than decolonizing, and assimilation means de-assimilating, maybe being less angry and less against everything, you know, and for some things, you know, and for our healing and spirituality and culture, togetherness, and that's just my personal philosophy. I know probably hard to agree with sometimes, me, you know, and so that's why I mostly keep quiet, but I'm real thankful for this opportunity to share what we do.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. I really do. I mean, hearing your perspective is definitely something that I've always wanted to check out, just because I have relatives like you that didn't have that midlife crisis, you know, and they're sitting in jail. You know, they're sitting in jail or they're terrorizing their home. Unfortunately, that's a lot of our relatives, not just male either, female too. They terrorize their children, their brothers and sisters, their moms and dads, and you know, and that's just the circumstances that have to do with all the things that led us here.
We give females a couple days here. So they have Mondays and Fridays so far. If they need more, we're going to give them more. But females are the fastest growing demographic in the incarceration setting. They're growing exponentially, man. It used to be 1 in 6. Like males are 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
Females are catching up to that now, and so that means that we're locking up more moms, and we want. I think women are the builders of our nation.
Yeah.
And so their healing is really important for us. And if you want to do something for the children, then do something for the moms, man, because that's going to affect the children.
Mm-hmm.
And so the healthier we can work with our females to become on the road to healing.
Yeah.
That's really important as a nation. I don't think we're really taking time to focus the way we can on the children, the women, and the men.
Yeah.
And brothers, we got Wednesdays because, you and I had this conversation when this interview first began. One of the things that's also a little sad is, all this proverbial safety nets in society. They make sure the children, children's homes and boys club, girl club, all these places focus just on the well-being of children. You have Wavy and these other awesome organizations focused on women. You have organizations focused on elders. Not many's focusing on men.
Yeah.
Where do we get to go when we're not making it? And who's gonna come save us? We're expected to not cry.
Yeah.
We're expected to have all the answers, be tough as a rock, be tough as nails, and be almost subhuman.
Yeah.
And so it's my experience that we're not. We're very much human. Things hurt us, man. We suffer. We have pain. So we dedicated Wednesday. We have Wichasha Wednesday. Come in here and just be you, man. And if you got issues, there's other men that might have solutions because they were where you're at today.
Mm-hmm. When I think about situations like that, I often think about there's the convenience end of it, because I recall, having bad days where I need somebody to talk to, but I'm so involved with whatever it is I got going on that I don't have time to come in and talk to somebody. But I tell you what, though, when I actually did make that time for myself, man, talk about the building that I was able to.
Absolutely.
I was able to break down.
Absolutely.
And I was also able to, but part of that is because of I know that I am fortunate. I have a father, I have a mother, and they were the ones that helped build me so that I'm able to take whatever it is I've ever been dealt with, how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I know scads of our own relatives don't even have that. So I don't ever take for what I have for granted. I tell all the people that are close to my circle that have always influenced me to be a better person and have supported me, that I love them, that I cherish them. It's important for me for them to understand that their life has helped me so that I'm not there. We've all been there. Every man has been in that position where it's he's so angry, and so upset that at that moment, if there was just a little voice to say, hey, take a deep breath, think about what you're going to do next. That little moment right there, I had that my whole life.
Yeah. Not
a lot of people did. And so I hear, and I'm not, please don't think that I'm trying to say that I'm better than anybody. I know that. I know that I'm not better than anybody, but I know that from my experience that I've actually had those male figures in my life that have brought me to where I'm at. And I think that allowing people to have that space to be able to talk amongst each other and create those conversations that would provide some sort of healing is instrumental, man. Like super instrumental.
Absolutely. We have elders come in on that day. Haroldine Salway. Yeah, that guy's got a lot of knowledge, man. We'd like your dad. I met your dad. I've never had the privilege of meeting you, man, but your dad, he's got some knowledge, man, and you know, when he gifts it, you know, and that's the importance of what we do here. Is we seen where there was gaps, you know, and in our communities and our Tioshpaes, you know, and we just willing to stand in the gap for our people, you know, and give them that, you know, whatever it is they need, man, that day, you know. And so you might be surprised if you came on a Wednesday and you'd see who's in here, you know, and standing here and willing to do, you know, what needs to be done and then some for our relatives, you know. And we want Thursdays to be what'd you call it?
Tioshpae Nupa? Dopa.
Tioshpae Apetu Dopa.
Oh, okay.
Thursday, family day or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Relatives day. Then Friday's nation building day again. It's our sisters. Saturdays, every night we have NA, AA type meetings here. There's a little spin on them. Basically, it's just a support group for people who are trying to, you know, be sober, be drug free, you know, and so our journey. I've been 19 years, you know, but before I used to like, you know, do all them things as well, man, and we just found culture that gives us something else to lean on in them times that seem hopeless, that seem a little overwhelming, you know. So that's all we offer is just some different tools to old problems, man. And every night we're here for you, you know. And you could call us, we'll come. You know, we're trying to afford a van someday. Well, we've been praying a lot about it.
Yeah.
But that way we give our relatives a ride. Of course, this pandemic really impacted what we do. So we have this table set up for social distancing.
Yeah, I see that.
Kind of stay away from each other. We got the mask. If you don't have a mask, we have a mask for you. Well, that's basically what we do over here, man. Legacy.
Well, I appreciate you telling me all that. I appreciate the stories and kind of leading me why we're here. So I really appreciate that. Is there anything you want to say in closing?
No, that was I just want to say really thankful, you know, and I'm really glad I was born Lakota, and glad, you know, for all of our relatives, man. I think you know, these opportunities just to be ourselves is really, really important, man, and that's all we want to do is just be welcoming and open and just do our part, which is just to help.
Yeah.
Just help, man. If we can help you, that's what we're gonna do, you know. And if we ain't got it, you know, we'll try to get it, you know. So we give away cars, and
I seen that. I remember that.
People gifted me a car, and you know, we gifted it to a new family. Yeah. Teenagers who had a baby. Yeah. You know, no vehicle, and so we gifted it to them, and we still see it moving
That's
around
good.
and rapid.
That's
you
good.
know, baby seats in there, and so we just want them to know that, you know, even though it seems like a overwhelming situation, that you don't have to do it alone. Yeah. You know, people been there and they done that up in here, so come up here and lean on us, man, and we'll do our best by you.
All right. For Keeley Radio News and Public Affairs, Arlo Iron Club, yeah. I've been with Erik Brings White, Legacy, Rapid City, South Dakota. Doksha.